In a vast universe where advanced civilizations have thrived and ruled for millions of years, humanity was only beginning to uncover the secrets beyond Earth. Seen as weak creatures incapable of competing with the colossal empires of powerful species, humans held no status in the eyes of the cosmic forces. The Galactic Empire, with its mighty armies and superior scientific advancements, never considered humanity a real threat. To the great empires, humans were mere trivial invaders, capable only of sending insignificant offerings or requests. However, no one knew that beneath this facade of frailty, humanity had made groundbreaking advancements unknown to all. Developments that, if left unchecked, could shake the very foundations of the universe. The dark expanse of space was illuminated by millions of distant stars. The spaceship Aurora, humanity's first symbol in the cosmos, silently glided through the planetary systems of Cygnus, heading toward the far-off empire of Arcturus, one of the universe's most powerful factions. This was humanity's first meeting with the Empire, a confrontation whose outcome no one could have predicted. Aboard the Aurora, Colonel Richard Hayes, commander of humanity's delegation, gazed out the cockpit window. His eyes were cold and filled with determination. For the first time, humans would face an unimaginable force. He was not merely the leader of a delegation but a man carrying the hopes of all humankind. "We will not kneel," he vowed silently. The spacecraft prepared to land on Arcturus Prime, the heart of the Empire's power. The ground beneath was a sprawling industrial complex, lined with colossal dome structures hiding secrets humans could not fathom. At its center sat Emperor Vrth, perched on a golden throne, a figure humans had only heard of as a legend. As the human delegation stepped off the ship, they were met with an oppressive atmosphere. Every step on the cold terrain of this alien world reminded them of their vulnerability. Surrounding them were the Empire's warriors, their cold, emotionless stares betraying no hint of recognition toward the humans as a threat. They seemed to regard the humans with mild curiosity at best. In the Grand Senate chamber where Emperor Vrth presided, the human representative stood before him. Colonel Hayes did not bring advanced technology or devastating weapons as the Empire might have expected. Instead, he brought only one thing, a war resource. "We are not here to beg," Hayes declared, raising a small container holding an unfamiliar mineral. "This is zirthium, a powerful war resource. It can be used to create limitless energy and advanced weaponry. This is humanity's contribution." Emperor Vrth smirked, unable to hide his disdain. "Is this all your kind can offer? Do you seek the Empire's mercy?" The assembled officials shook their heads and sneered. None believed a species like humans could produce anything of value. Yet, the silence grew as Hayes opened the zirthium container. Although it was just a small mineral sample, the Empire's scanning device immediately began to glow, emitting strange sounds as streams of data flowed across its screen. The Empire's system could not identify the mineral's origin, and it displayed an incomprehensible energy level. "This is impossible," one of the Empire's high-ranking officials exclaimed. "Where did you find this?" Emperor Vrth furrowed his brow. He was not one to be easily deceived, but before him was a mineral with the potential to alter the balance of power in the universe. If humans truly possessed this resource, they were no longer the weaklings they appeared to be. "So, you are not mere insignificant invaders," the Emperor said with a hint of respect. "What else have you been hiding?" Colonel Hayes smiled. He knew this was just the beginning. Humanity was no longer a labor force or an afterthought in the universe. They had secrets the Empire could not comprehend. "We are not mere invaders. We are conquerors, and we will prove it." The Galactic Empire might see humanity as weak, but they would soon realize that human frailty was a ruse. By the time they understood, humanity would rule this universe. After years of oppression and disdain, humanity transcended the limits of frailty, rising from the ruins of a shattered world. The powers of the universe saw them as feeble invaders, nuisances capable of causing a stir but incapable of inflicting real harm. Yet, in the shadows of secret bases, humanity nurtured a strength no one could have imagined. In their darkest moments, they created a ship whose power could alter the balance of the cosmos invitus. In a remote, untraceable location beneath the surface of a forgotten planet, human engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, piecing together fragments of technology salvaged from past battles. They discovered new methodologies, rooted in principles that only human ingenuity could devise. Invitus wasn't just a warship, it was the culmination of centuries of research, hardship, and unwavering determination. The ship was constructed from an alloy unknown to any civilization in the galaxy's earthium alloy. This material, forged from minerals humanity had once gifted to the Arcturus Empire during an earlier encounter, held secrets only humans could unlock. Using zirthium, they crafted tools of war, enabling the ship to withstand any attack, including the advanced weaponry possessed by the Galactic Empire. Invitus was a colossal warship, nearly 2,000 meters long and 800 meters wide, armored with reflective plating that deflected all forms of energy waves. Inside, it housed thousands of engineering chambers, research labs, and state-of-the-art armories brimming with technology humanity had kept hidden. Most notably, the ship featured a secret innovation: the reactive motion system, allowing Invitus to move through space at unparalleled speeds, almost instantaneously compared to conventional warships. More than a marvel of engineering, Invitus was a profound symbol for humanity. After centuries of oppression and bitter defeats, the ship was a resurrection. It declared to the galaxy that humanity was no longer weak but warriors prepared to face any challenge. Although Invitus boasted unmatched strength, brute force alone wasn't enough to secure victory in the impending war. Its crew were not just fighters, they were tacticians. Trained for complex war scenarios, they knew that sophisticated strategies would be the key to defeating powerful entities like the Arcturus Empire. To strike at the Empire, humanity couldn't merely rely on the ship's raw might. They needed to employ the element of surprise. Information about Invitus was kept strictly confidential. Spies embedded within the Empire, even in high-ranking positions, provided precise intelligence on its vulnerabilities. Human commanders meticulously planned their offensives, crafting strategies so unexpected that the enemy would be caught completely off guard. Their approach was deceptively simple yet extraordinarily effective. They avoided direct confrontation, opting instead for surprise tactics. Invitus was not just a battleship but also a tool of deception, staging feints to lure the Empire into traps. The reactive motion system allowed the ship to move with lightning speed, change directions, and vanish from enemy radar. The Empire's fleets, no matter how advanced, couldn't contend with the unpredictability of Invitus. The day had arrived for Invitus to embark on its maiden voyage. The entire vessel trembled as its systems roared to life, a deep hum resonating through its engine rooms. Colonel Richard Hayes stood on the command deck, his eyes sharp as blades, radiating resolve. Surrounding him was humanity's elite crew, ready to lay down their lives for the survival of their species. They weren't just fighting for existence, they were fighting for a future they could shape on their own terms. "Begin the journey," Hayes ordered. The ship sprang into motion, heading toward the planetary systems of the Arcturus Empire. Massive energy columns flared from the ship's reactive engines, warping the space around them as they propelled forward. For the first time, humanity would not be seen as mere petty invaders but as an unstoppable force. The assault on the Arcturus Empire would begin here, with Invitus at the helm. The Galactic Empire may have underestimated humanity, but they would soon realize that humanity's frailty was nothing more than a strategic ruse, a facade concealing the latent power they had long kept hidden. As Invitus soared through the cosmos, carving a path of revival and resolve, the first clash between humanity and the Arcturus Empire officially began. The Invitus had left the safety zone and sped through the vast expanse of space, approaching the Arcturus system, one of the most significant trade hubs of the Galactic Empire. The Arcturus system was a melting pot of countless civilizations, where invaders and allies alike traded technology, resources, and power. With its iconic space city structures housing thousands of warships, it was a heavily guarded and near impenetrable region. However, as the Invitus emerged in the space near Arcturus, no alarms were triggered. The ship sent only a brief message to the Empire, requesting emergency clearance. Humanity can no longer endure. We have come to negotiate. This message, seemingly a simple request for clearance, immediately caught the attention of the Empire's command authorities. Although the tone was courteous, it stirred an inexplicable unease among the Empire's high-ranking officials. This was not the kind of message they expected from a species they had long deemed weak and easily conquered. They began to question the nature of the vessel they had just detected. "Officers, what do you make of this?" a cold voice echoed from the Empire's command chamber. A seasoned general stood before a large screen, scrutinizing every detail of the Invitus. This was no ordinary warship. Its design evoked fear, as though it had been constructed to annihilate everything it touched. "It's not a ship from any of the species allied with us," the general stated firmly. "I demand an immediate response. Send a message ordering this vessel to leave the area at once. If they refuse, we will attack." In an instant, warning messages were broadcast across the traffic and military channels of the Arcturus system. A massive force was mobilized, comprising warships and space fortresses, with a straightforward objective: to protect Arcturus from these unidentified intruders. While the Empire scrambled to issue orders, the Invitus remained stationary, neither advancing nor showing any signs of aggression. This only deepened the suspicion. Was this vessel part of a human ploy, or merely a strange and inexplicable incident? Within minutes, the Empire's first wave of warships arrived, positioning themselves just outside the Invitus perimeter. These vessels showed no caution. They assumed their opponent was either a rogue warship or a civilian craft trespassing into their space. Inside the command room of the Invitus, Commander Hayes stood silently, observing. The atmosphere aboard the ship was tense, but he refrained from giving the order to attack. He understood that an early strike would jeopardize the entire plan. The Invitus was not a vessel of mindless violence. It was a strategic card, a psychological experiment humanity had learned to exploit the doubts of its enemies. Moments later, an Empire warship launched a warning missile. Though not a direct attack, the act made it clear that the Empire had no intention of tolerating the presence of this vessel. "It's time," Hayes murmured. "Time to show them we are not weak." The Invitus retaliated abruptly. Blinding flashes of energy beams shot out from the ship's weapons, slicing through the darkness of space like razor-sharp blades. The Empire's warships had no time to react. The energy blasts engulfed them, turning them into fiery clouds of debris. As the attack unfolded, the Invitus didn't linger. Using its advanced propulsion system, it darted through space, disappearing from the Empire's sensors, leaving behind trails of brilliant light. The Empire's command center erupted in frantic orders for warships to mobilize and prepare for a counterattack. But the Invitus was gone. Commander Hayes understood that this first strike was not meant to defeat the Empire but to serve as a calculated probing maneuver. The primary goal was not destruction but to sow confusion and unease within the Empire's ranks. They had to feel humanity's presence. They had to realize that humanity was not so easily extinguished. And when the Arcturus Empire began to doubt its confidence, that would be humanity's greatest opportunity to claim victory. Although the Invitus had vanished, its message had been delivered loud and clear: this ship did not signify the invasion of a weak species. It marked the beginning of a new era. And the Arcturus Empire would face a challenge they had never imagined. As the Invitus left the Arcturus system, the warship plunged deeper into the vast expanse of space, like a ghost impossible to catch. However, the Galactic Empire was not easily defeated. After the surprise attack and the loss of several warships, the Empire's strategists decided to take stronger action to prevent further incursions from humanity. They shifted focus and chose to concentrate their forces at Epsilon Eridani, one of the Empire's key planets, which hosted vital trade routes and strategic military bases. Epsilon Eideni was a strategic planet, with a robust defense system, elite troops, and an incredibly sensitive space surveillance satellite network. Furthermore, it was home to the Empire's Rapid Response Forces, a force that even the most powerful invaders had to be wary of. The Invitus, with its massive size and bold design, was no longer a shadow lurking in space. It now appeared clearly within the sights of satellites and the Empire's troops. Sensing the danger, Hayes, the commander of Invitus, immediately realized that there was no way to escape the Empire's control without a bold move. "We can't risk being surrounded. Prepare for a lightning strike, switch to the experimental shift tactic," Hayes ordered decisively. This was a tactic that humanity had secretly researched and developed, the experimental shift technology. This technology allowed the ship to instantly shift from one point in space to another within a close range, bypassing defense systems and avoiding direct attacks. However, this technology was still very new and imperfect, meaning the risk of encountering unforeseen issues was very high. As the Invitus prepared to activate the shift system, the Empire began deploying massive warships and advanced fighter planes, surrounding the ship. Attacks erupted immediately. Laser beams from the Empire's warships shot toward the Invitus, shaking the ship violently. The hull trembled, emitting sounds as though it was on the verge of breaking apart. The screens in the command room lit up with red alerts, energy systems were declining, weapons systems were in a critical state, and parts of the ship were starting to overheat uncontrollably. "Boost power to maximum. Prepare to activate the shift," Hayes commanded. He knew this was a crucial moment, and everything would depend on the precision and speed of the technical team. At the same time, the Empire's warships drew closer, each launching powerful attacks. However, the Invitus was no longer there. Just before the Empire's strikes could reach the ship, the Invitus made a leap in space, shifting completely to the other side of the Epsilon Eideni planet. The Empire's warships had no time to understand what had happened. The Invitus had vanished from sight and appeared at a different point, trapping the Empire's forces in a position from which they couldn't escape. However, not everything went smoothly. The experimental shift system was far from perfect, and the ship suffered some damage. Several parts of the Invitus were damaged, and the control systems lost some key functions, but luckily, the ship could still continue to fight. "We've succeeded, but don't celebrate too soon," Hayes said with a tense expression. "We've won the first round, but the Empire won't let this slide. They'll learn from this defeat, and next time, they won't be so easily defeated." In the command room, officers and technicians worked tirelessly to repair the damage and ensure that the Invitus could continue fighting. However, everyone knew they had only just begun. The battle at Epsilon Eideni was just one step in a larger plan humanity had set out. Although the Invitus had escaped the encirclement and inflicted significant damage on the Empire, Hayes and his crew understood that the Empire would not stop improving its tactics and technology to counterattack. "They'll quickly develop countermeasures to our tactics," Hayes noted. "We must prepare for the next round of attacks. We can't keep relying on the experimental shift. All of our plans will have to change now." As the Invitus moved out of the combat zone, the Empire immediately deployed search and interception forces. However, the Invitus had passed the first test. This was not an absolute victory, but it was a sign that humanity had begun to fight back against a mighty empire, something no one had dared to think possible before. Humanity's first battle had ended, but the war had only just begun. After the initial victory at Epsilon Eideni, humanity had opened a new era in their war against the Galactic Empire. Invitus, the massive warship, was now not only a symbol of survival but also humanity's last hope. However, the victory at Eideni was not enough to ensure humanity's long-term existence in the vast universe. The Galactic Empire, though temporarily defeated, was still too powerful and full of strategy. Humanity needed to change, develop rapidly, and continuously improve their technology to counter future threats. Teleportation technology, one of humanity's breakthrough inventions, had become the ultimate weapon in their struggle against the Empire's powerful forces. However, this technology was a double-edged sword. While it allowed Invitus to escape dangerous situations, it also made the Empire fearful and determined to find ways to counter it. In the months that followed, humanity's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to improve teleportation technology. What had started as a simple experiment became a sophisticated system capable of teleporting not only ships but entire armies or supplies, back and forth between star systems without being detected. The Empire, despite its strict surveillance, was unable to fully comprehend the potential dangers posed by this technology. However, humanity's rapid development of such a breakthrough technology not only caused concern among the Empire's scientists but also made the Emperor himself anxious. The Emperor, who controlled an entire galaxy, realized that this advancement would be an unavoidable threat. If humanity continued developing this technology unchecked, they would become an unpredictable and uncontrollable adversary. We cannot let them develop freely like this, the Emperor sighed, gazing out of the large window of his palace, where the faint light of distant planets twinkled in the vastness of space. If they can strike at us from anywhere in the universe, there will be nowhere safe. This threat must be ended, once and for all. The Emperor immediately summoned the Empire's strategists and military commanders to plan a decisive strike. His decision was clear: Earth, the home of humanity, must become the primary target. The Emperor believed that if they destroyed the source of humanity's strength, these invaders would lose their ability to grow powerful. However, he also recognized that an attack on Earth would be a major undertaking, one that could face significant challenges. Therefore, the Empire needed to prepare more thoroughly than ever before. The Emperor called an urgent meeting with his officials and military commanders. In the conference room, the tension was palpable. The Empire's generals sat across from the Emperor, each one with a serious expression. General Belzar, one of the Empire's finest commanders, spoke first. "Your Majesty, we must have a decisive attack plan. Humanity has shown that they are not as weak as we thought. They can strike from anywhere. We need to eliminate them at the source, and that can only be Earth." The Emperor nodded, his eyes gleaming with resolve. "Follow Belzar's plan. All warships will be deployed to launch an attack on Earth. There will be no mercy, no hesitation." While the Empire prepared for its attack on Earth, humanity did not stop improving Invitus. The warship, now more than just a weapon of war, had become a symbol of hope, ambition, and an unwavering determination never to surrender. The ship was upgraded with new weapons, including powerful defense systems, advanced ammunition bays, and essential components to enhance its combat capabilities. The most important improvement in this upgrade was the enhancement of the teleportation technology. Engineers had optimized the system so that Invitus could teleport not only over short distances but also strike directly without being detected. They called this new technology tactical teleportation, which allowed the ship to teleport instantly into the heart of the Empire without having to navigate heavily monitored space routes. "We will not let Earth fall into the hands of the Empire," Hayes said, looking at the control panel in front of him. "We will fight until our last breath, and Invitus will be the deciding weapon in this war." With Invitus equipped with new weapons and technology, humanity was ready to strike at the heart of the Empire. They not only wanted to protect Earth but also send a clear message: humanity was not weak. The Empire would not easily be able to destroy them. This was the final preparation before humanity's war with the Galactic Empire entered a new phase, one that was more intense than ever before. The storm of war between humanity and the Galactic Empire had reached its peak. Invitus, humanity's legendary warship, was preparing for a decisive strike into the heart of the Empire. Earth, the birthplace of humanity, was on the brink of total destruction. The Empire, with its unpredictable power, had devised a large-scale invasion plan, and humanity had to prepare to face unimaginable dangers. Since the advent of the physical teleportation technology as the main weapon of Invictus, humanity had gained a significant advantage in the war. However, this technology could not only teleport armies and warships but also move items, even weapons of mass destruction. A team of human scientists, led by Colonel Hayes, had uncovered a secret research program of the Empire. This program involved a large-scale weapon capable of completely annihilating planets with a single strike. This was a sudden revelation, and when Hayes received the information about this weapon, everything changed. Not only was there fear of an attack from the Empire, but now humanity faced a far greater threat. The Empire was planning to use its teleportation technology to bring this destructive weapon to Earth. If this weapon succeeded, humanity would have no place to hide, no chance of survival. After consulting with his teammates and scientists, Colonel Hayes made a bold decision, to use the physical teleportation technology to teleport the Empire's weapon of mass destruction directly into the heart of the enemy's planet. The goal was to destroy a significant part of the Empire's planet, delivering a powerful blow and weakening their military forces. "We have no other choice," Hayes said, his gaze resolute as he looked at the ship's screen. "If we don't act now, the Empire's weapon will destroy everything we built. A part of the Empire must be destroyed so they can't continue this war." Hayes' words echoed in the stillness of the command room, and everyone in the team understood the gravity of the decision. No one could imagine the consequences if they failed, but once the weapon was successfully teleported into the heart of the Empire, there would be no turning back. They would face a fight for survival, but at least humanity would have a chance to fight. This risky decision was not just a military attack, it was the battle that would decide humanity's fate. If successful, they could weaken the Empire and seize part of its power. If they failed, it would be a tragic end not just for Invictus but for all of humanity. However, despite the careful preparations, Invictus could not avoid the unpredictable hazards. The teleportation technology, which provided many opportunities, also carried inherent dangers. While Hayes and his team were preparing for the attack, a series of unexpected malfunctions occurred. Some systems aboard the ship failed, interrupting the teleportation plan. These technical faults could lead to the ship being detected, triggering a surprise counterattack from the Empire. The situation became increasingly tense when the Empire detected Invictus' sudden appearance. Their armed forces were immediately mobilized to counterattack. The Empire's warships flooded the space, attacking and destroying the defense satellites, putting Invictus at risk of complete destruction. However, Hayes and his team could not retreat. They had to continue pushing forward, for there was no option but to fight to the end. The pilots aboard Invictus were fighting not only to protect themselves but also to protect Earth, their only home in the universe. Every decision in these moments could be the last one. Everything became uncertain, and humanity stood on the brink of despair. But even in the most dangerous moments, the belief in their fight never waned. "We will not surrender," Hayes thought quietly, gripping the controls tightly, his eyes never leaving the screens before him. "Even if we have to sacrifice everything, we will fight to protect the future of humanity." With unshakable determination, Invictus continued to plunge into space, preparing for the final strike. However, every passing second was a gamble. The teleportation technology could bring victory, but it could also destroy everything. In the vast, dark expanse of space, humanity had only one chance left to survive. The atmosphere aboard Invictus was thick with tension. All eyes were focused on the central control screen, where signals from the teleportation system were gradually coming to completion. Every second, every minute that passed carried immense meaning for humanity's survival. Colonel Hayes stood motionless, his eyes blazing with a fierce determination, though his mind was constantly racing with thoughts of the dangers ahead. The plan to use teleportation technology in the heart of the Empire was an unprecedented gamble. Both the Empire's destructive weapons and their planet would have to endure devastation from untested technology. If successful, it would deal a heavy blow to the Empire's regime, but if it failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Empire could retaliate fiercely and obliterate all of humanity's forces. Under Hayes' command, the engineers and scientists aboard Invitus continued to refine the teleportation system. They were not just teleporting a weapon, but a part of the Empire's planet. Their forces would face unknown dangers as they began to execute the final step. Though teleportation had been tested on smaller objects, teleporting an entire planet was an immense challenge. "If this works, the Empire will be nothing," one of the engineers whispered. A devastating strike to their heart. With unwavering resolve, Invitus began its preparations. It was too late to change their minds. The entire battle force was united, ready to face challenges no one could foresee. They were not only fighting for themselves but for humanity's future, for Earth, the only home they had ever known. The battle was at its most perilous when Invitus began the teleportation process. The science team aboard the ship had carefully calculated every factor, but no one could be certain of the outcome of this technology. When the order was given, a sound, like a reverberation from deep within space, began to echo, and Invitus plunged into space beyond their control. The teleportation engines activated, releasing a blinding light from the ship's core. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupted from Invitus, but it wasn't just a part of the Empire that was destroyed. The entire Empire's planet, with all its structures, cities, and life, was pulled into the terrifying energy storm of the teleportation process. A beam of light tore through space, dragging uncontrollable shifts of objects and structures throughout the universe. Everything happened too quickly and too suddenly. The Empire, once thought to be untouchable, was now torn apart from its very heart. The Empire's sophisticated technologies could not predict the impact of such a large-scale teleportation. The planet and the entire Empire's cosmic structure began to fragment, with chunks of space ripped apart and scattered through the vast expanse of the universe. Aboard Invitus, every crew member felt the powerful tremor, as if they were passing through a black hole full of cosmic waves. Some were thrown from their seats, but everyone felt an indescribable terror. Suddenly, the ship was thrown into intense turbulence. The control systems failed, and the ship began to lose its direction in space. In the chaos, Colonel Hayes gripped the ship's controls, trying to keep Invitus steady. But the destruction was too great and brutal to anticipate. Eventually, an emergency signal rang out from the Empire's communication system. Though they could not accurately gauge the extent of the Empire's damage, what Hayes and his team saw was enough to confirm that the strike had been far more successful than expected. When the Emperor of the Empire received the report, he could not believe what he was hearing. The Emperor, who had looked down on humanity for so many years, now had to face the complete collapse of his own empire. The cities, war facilities, and even the Empire's infrastructure were now nothing more than rubble in space. The war he thought he had won now seemed to have ended in a way he never imagined. This collapse was an unimaginable shock to the Empire, a mighty regime that had ruled the universe for thousands of years. Their colossal war machines, their elite warriors, could now do nothing but watch as their empire crumbled. "Humanity has done it," the Emperor whispered, his eyes filled with blood, as he watched the chaos engulf his empire. In a moment of silence before the storm, Invitus continued to move through space. The ship was still there, humanity was still there. But the war would never stop. Immediately after the shocking battle, when Invitus attacked the heart of the Empire and tore apart their planet, the Empire could not remain idle. A swift response was launched. The Emperor, though severely wounded, ordered the summoning of all remaining forces in the Empire, commanding a colossal fleet to crush what was left of humanity. The order to attack Earth was given immediately, with the goal of avenging the humiliation they had suffered. The entire galaxy trembled at the appearance of the counter-attack fleet, with thousands of warships, each equipped with the Empire's most destructive weapons. Their objective was not only to destroy Invitus but also to annihilate all human military bases and settlements on Earth. This was a ruthless campaign, where the Empire was willing to sacrifice everything just to eliminate the threat of humanity. But even when all seemed lost, Colonel Hayes and his team never intended to surrender. Earth, though in a vulnerable position, was still the only place they could rely on. Invictus, though heavily damaged, stood firm as a symbol of humanity's resilience. As the Empire's counterattack fleet approached Earth, their warships surged forward with catastrophic speed. On Invictus, every system had been damaged. The fighting team had lost many comrades in previous battles, but their fighting spirit remained undiminished. Invictus, the massive warship humanity had spent decades building, had now become a rusted, broken vessel, but it was also a symbol of survival. The scientists and engineers on board had exhausted every repair option. Invictus no longer had enough power to continue fighting for long. Yet, a final attack, even if it meant sacrifice, was something humanity had to make. Colonel Hayes stood on the bridge, looking at his team, those who fought until the very last moment. "We cannot retreat," Hayes declared, his voice resolute. "Let the Empire see that humanity is not weak. We fight for Earth, for the generations to come." The Empire's strike forces drew closer. They flooded the space around Earth, and nothing seemed capable of stopping them. Invictus slowly charged into the Empire's fleet, though nearly all its energy and fighting power had been drained. However, the ship still carried humanity's pride, and none of them wanted to abandon their mission. The order was given. Invictus, though devastated, plunged toward the Empire's fleet with desperate speed, as all of its energy systems were running dry. With no ability to resist, no strength to continue the fight, the ship had become a weapon of survival, with only one goal: to strike the Empire's final weakness. In the final moments of the battle, Colonel Hayes stood in the command compartment, gripping the helm, his eyes filled with tears. He did not see the death before him. He saw the future, a future where humanity would not just survive but rise stronger, a future where they would win, even if it meant sacrificing everything. As Invictus charged into the heart of the Empire's forces, a massive explosion erupted. Colonel Hayes and his team had carried out a full-scale attack on the Empire's strongest forces. Knowing that this battle would end in their deaths, they fought until the end, with no regrets. The Emperor of the Empire stood on his throne, his hand pressed to his heart as he realized that the counterattack had failed. Invictus, though shattered, had delivered a blow strong enough to cause severe damage to the Empire's entire military force. The Empire's colossal warships began to explode, setting off a series of shockwave explosions that shook the entire galactic system. But as the Emperor learned that his counterattack had failed and that his entire plan for revenge had been shattered, the true cost humanity had paid became clear. Invictus had been destroyed, and everyone on board had sacrificed their lives. However, behind this lay a powerful message: humanity could be decimated, but they would never be erased. Earth stood firm, and like a torch in the darkness, humanity continued to survive and fight, even if only the memories of a tragic war and an unyielding spirit remained, a spirit that no one could extinguish. When Invictus crashed into the Empire's fleet, creating massive explosions and causing unimaginable damage, everything changed forever. The colossal human ship was shattered, its crew sacrificed, but their resilience could not be erased. Earth, though severely attacked, stood firm, with ruins and wounds that could never be healed, yet the flame of hope still burned brightly. The Empire, though powerful and self-proclaimed rulers of the universe, now faced a terrifying reality: humanity's challenge was not an accident but a breakthrough they could not easily extinguish. The Emperor, although partially victorious, was confronted with severe internal weakness. Empire commanders began to realize that humanity was not as weak as they had once believed. Though Invictus had been destroyed, humanity's victory was not one of armies or weapons, but of an indomitable will. The Empire's colonial forces, once subjugated and oppressed, now saw an opportunity to break free from their rulers. The distant colonies that had once been the Empire's property began to rise up, inspired by the resistance spirit that humanity had instilled. Gone were the storms of pillaging and fear from the Empire, replaced by a powerful resistance movement emerging from every corner of the universe. The Empire, though still strong, no longer held absolute dominance. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people continued to rebuild, reconstructing what had been destroyed. The great cities, once rubble, slowly began to recover. Though Invitu's symbol of humanity's strength and determination was no more, scientists, engineers, and soldiers returning from the front lines began to develop new technologies. They no longer relied on weapons of mass destruction for defense but focused on creating more sustainable, powerful technologies to help them survive and thrive in an unstable universe. As the war ended, the twilight of the Empire became clearly visible. The oppressed peoples, those who had lived under the Empire's rule for centuries, began to rise. They were no longer afraid, no longer inferior to the powers the Empire had once wielded. The far-flung colonies, once seen as the Empire's property, were now battlefields for liberation. A new wave of resistance spread across the colonial planets. The oppressed peoples who had been trapped under the Empire's dominion now realized that, though the Empire was strong, this strength was no longer invincible. Resistance groups from various planets, those who had been crushed under the Empire's heel, now united in a common front. They collaborated, shared technology and resources, to confront their common enemy the Empire. With the failure of the Empire's military forces, humanity's leaders began to rebuild the new world. They not only looked back at the memories of Invitus but also began constructing a new civilization, one focused not on war and destruction but on growth, creativity, and cooperation. Earth's political system began to change. Free and fair elections were held, social organizations were rebuilt from the ground up. People from different nations, despite the brutal wars they had endured, now sought to create a more peaceful world, where war was not the only solution. Alliances and associations were formed to ensure that humanity would never face oppression from any power again. Though Invitus was no more, and the heroes had sacrificed themselves, their legacy lived on. It was not only their military victories but their unwavering spirit, their determination to never give up. Humanity had shown that, even in the harshest circumstances, they could rise, fight, and find a way to triumph. And although the war had ended, the legacy of Invitus, the ship of humanity, left a profound mark on the universe. It was not just a warship, but a symbol of courage and mental strength. Humanity had proven that, though small in the vast universe, they could change the course of events, and make empires that seemed invincible tremble in fear. The stories of Invitus would be told for generations to come, not just as a lesson in war but as a lesson in resilience and the strength of a species that dared to dream, dared to fight for freedom and survival. The legacy of humanity is a testament to the fact that, no matter how devastated the world may become, a flame of hope can still ignite and light the way to the future. After years of brutal war, the endless sacrifice of the people aboard Invitus marked a turning point in history. Earth not only survived the threat of extinction but stood strong in a universe full of challenges, where everything had changed. The heroes who sacrificed themselves, the brave warriors, the great intellects, all of them created a legacy that could never be erased. This legacy was not only about technologies and victories but about the indomitable spirit of humankind, a resilience that no empire could defeat. When Invitus crashed into the Empire's army, causing devastating explosions and shaking them to their core, and Earth endured brutal attacks from the enemy forces, humanity proved that they were not weak, nor were they easy prey for any empire. Earth, though ravaged, stood firm. It was this resilience that created an irreversible lever. The Empire's colonial system began to collapse, and the oppressed regions began to rise up and unite. Humanity not only protected its survival but also shook the universe, igniting a change no one had anticipated. The Empire, though still powerful, could no longer return to its former glory. The emergence of humankind, with unprecedented technologies and tactics that the enemy could not predict, damaged the Empire's position. Efforts to protect and destroy humanity were no longer effective. In fact, throughout the war, humanity had learned, created, and developed quickly, forcing the great powers of the universe to realize they no longer held the upper hand. The resurrection of Earth was not just a military victory but a victory of civilization. The leaders of Earth, from scientists to military heads, began to plan for the reconstruction of a new world, a world where peace and cooperation were the top priorities. Though Invictus was gone, its spirit lived on in the hearts of every human. The memories of the sacrifices made by the warriors and scientists aboard that ship would never be forgotten. Those who gave their lives to protect humanity would be remembered forever. In the years after the war, Earth began to recover not just physically but spiritually. The destroyed cities slowly began to rebuild. Factories, research facilities, and schools all began to operate again, but this time with a new goal: to build a peaceful, free world where humanity could thrive without the threat of alien dominion. Governments cooperated to ensure resources were shared fairly, and there were no longer the severe divides of wealth and power that had existed before. However, the new world humanity was building was not perfect. The universe still contained dangers that humankind could not predict. Alien forces, though partially subdued, still held territories yet to be conquered. Earth had stood firm, but the road ahead remained difficult. Former enemies still watched, preparing for new opportunities. However, humanity was no longer the weakling in the universe. They had matured, learned how to fight, and protect themselves. And more than that, they had found strength in unity, in their desire to survive and develop. The leaders of Earth no longer focused solely on restoring the old world. They began to look outward, to other worlds, to expand relationships with alien species, to ensure humanity would never be threatened again. Negotiations, alliances, and partnerships were formed with other beings in the universe, building a future not of war but of peace and cooperation. However, a new era for humankind had just begun, an era where they no longer feared or retreated from any challenge. Though humanity no longer had Invictus, they continued to move forward, carrying in their hearts the belief that as long as they remained united and resilient, they could overcome any difficulty. The memories of victory and sacrifice would always be the torch lighting their way forward. The resurrection of Earth was not just the recovery from a devastating war but the rebirth of an indomitable spirit, of a humanity that had not only survived but emerged stronger than ever. Though the future held many challenges, with unity and an unyielding desire to progress, humanity entered a new era of prosperity, peace, and unparalleled advancement.